So let us start. So O-level P2 is basically divided into database, then algorithms. Algorithms is anything which is structured step by step, and when it is followed by us humans or a machine like computer, something is done. So in order to complete a work, anything, we try to put it in steps. Do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. That structured form, when it is followed, something is done, is called algorithm. So that thing which is in a structured form might be a computer language, might be a pseudocode, or flowchart. So it is very simple that what can be done in a computer language can also be done in a pseudocode, can also be done in the flowchart. Computer languages as such are not part of the syllabus, as in no question relevant to any particular language will be asked in exam. If they want you to write any code, that would be in pseudocode. All right. There might be some areas like declaration of arrays. They might ask you to convert it, to write the statement for that declaration of the arrays in a particular computer language of your choice. So when we will reach array, we will see. So this area is, as far as the exam is required, it is not, the exam is concerned, it is not required. All right, but CIE do expect that whatever the pseudocode that you write, whatever the flowcharts that you make, you should basically write a program in any computer language relevant to that pseudocode or flowchart, so that you could see that how the whole thing is happening. Unfortunately, we are so close to exam and there are just 10 or 8 in particular days remaining for the completion of this syllabus. We will hardly be able to learn any computer language, but over the course of time, I will try my best to use Visual Basic to make you realize that how that pseudocode is working. So not required from CAIE point of view. Okay. Now pseudocode. Pseudocode, as far as this O level is concerned, is required to be written for basic constructs. Now, what are constructs? Let's see first. Whatever program in whatever form that you write, no matter if it is pseudocode, no matter if it is language code, whatever, they are made up of these basic following constructs. Number one is sequence. Sequence means every single program, when computer follows it, it executes it in the manner of the instructions written in that program. Every computer program is made up of number of instructions. First instruction, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, as you would have an idea of all the pseudocode. Those pseudocodes are individual short computer programs. So when computer starts executing this program, this, by the nature of computer is called a sequential machine. By the nature of computer, this program will be executed in the sequence of the instructions as the instructions are written. So if it is first instruction, then second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. This is called sequence. Every computer program has got a sequence, no matter what. Second one is selection. Selection is also called decision. This is basically the use of if, then, else. So in a computer program, let's say there is a condition. If that condition is true, this is true part. Then this true part will be executed. If that condition is false, then this false part will be executed, and afterwards the same sequence of the program will be started. So what happens, that program is started executing in the order of instruction, then this condition is checked. If this condition is true, system will execute this part and skip this part and reaches out here. If condition is false, system will skip this part and reaches out here and continue from these lines. So what does it mean that condition is used whenever we like a part of the program to be executed when condition is true, and another part of the program that will be executed when the condition is false, meanings not the whole program will be executed, but a part of it. Depends. If it is true, the upper part. If it is false, the lower part. When it is true, false part is skipped. When it is false, the condition true part is skipped. This is called selection or decision, and it is the use of if, then, else. Third construct is repetition. You also call it loop. what basically happens, there are certain instructions in the code out of which you want these few instructions to be executed again and again and again. So the whole program is executed, but a little part of it is basically repeated again and again and again. For example, you might like a count to be shown over the screen. So computer will count and put that count on the screen. Then another count on the screen, then another count on the screen. So it is counting and displaying it over the screen. So it is being repeated. So repetition or loop. There are two types of repetition and loops we will discuss later, but apparently these are while and while loops, repeat until loops. These belong to the same category of the loops we will discuss later. And then we have got for next loops. So what are programming constructs? These are the building blocks. These are the three basic building blocks to consider. Sequence is in the order in which the instruction occur and are processed. Selection determines which path a program takes when it is running, and iteration, also called iteration. And iteration is the repeated execution of a section of code when the program is running. So let's write about it. So what is the construct? These are basic building blocks of a computer program. Now, what is a sequence? It is the order in which instructions occur and are processed. Now, what is selection? Selection determines which path of execution a program takes when it is running. Based on the condition. Then iteration, repetition, or loop. It is the repeated execution. It is the repeated execution of a section of code when the program is running or being executed. All right. So this might be a question. There are occasions when the questions related to constructs appear, at least for 4 marks to 6 marks. What are constructs? These are the basic building blocks of a computer program. Every computer program is made up of either of these three. Every computer program has this sequence, and out of these two, you would have to see if there is if then else, then it is said to be having a selection thing, and if there are any for next and while and while or for next or what do we call it, repeat until, then you would say yes, this program has got. They all three can also coexist. They all three can also coexist. And if not selection or iteration, it is always sequence. So maybe with selection a sequence, or with iteration or a sequence, or with both. ठीक हो गया? चलेंगे. So अब pseudo code जो है वो इन कंस्ट्रक्ट्स पे बेस करके बनता है. अब इन कंस्ट्रक्ट्स में से देखें, जो सीक्वेंस है वो कोई इतनी मुश्किल कंस्ट्रक्ट नहीं है, तो वी डोंट केयर अबाउट इट. Selection जब हम काम कर रहे होते तो becomes easy. If A is equal to 1, then B is equal to A, else B is equal to 5. So that is very easy, that we can read and understand. So we don't pay attention to these when we start learning pseudocodes. What is the most problematic area? That is iterations. Okay, so we have got pseudocodes based on iterations. So it's not just that we are studying only those pseudocodes which are based on iterations. It is like we are basically giving iteration an importance, and we are classifying all the pseudocodes ever appeared in past paper questions according to the category given by the selection and iteration, and selection and sequence comes under it. So as per the iteration rules, there are two types of pseudocode. So let's say, hold on. Let's divide them in iterative and non-iterative pseudocodes. So there are two types, iterative and non-iterative. And in iterative, there are two types. Precondition and post-condition. Let's put it this way, that count base and condition based. And in condition based, there are two. Precondition and post condition. In count based, there are two. Simple and complex one. We will discuss about this a little bit later further. So we have simple count based, we have complex count based, we have then condition based, and we have precondition based, we have post condition based. So simple one is simple, the complex one is called nested. What do we call it? Nested. Now, let's move on to flowcharts. You would have to read flowcharts, and in technical term we call it trace. You would have to fill in the blanks. Means a flowchart is given and you will have to actually fill it in according to the context of the question. So we have to read, we have to fill in, and then we have to create. As I told you that whatever that we do in a computer language can also be done in pseudocode, can also be done in flowchart. So initially, I will be trying to make a flowchart out of every pseudocode that we are creating. But what happens then in exam, when they ask you to come up with a pseudocode or a flowchart, they both are the forms of algorithm and they give you mostly the choice. So it is always a good idea to go with the pseudocode, because if you go with the flowchart requires you to have a lot of space. And usually we don't have as much space in exam paper, in answer sheet, to create flowchart. And flowcharts, when we do it, it becomes untidy. We have to do a lot of erasing and rewriting and all. So it is always a good idea to, if you are given a choice, go with what? The pseudocode. So we would have making of flowcharts, fill in the blanks, and tracing of the flowcharts. Okay, so we will do it. So remember, everything that you would do in pseudocode will also be done in flowcharts. But as a matter of choice, I would always suggest that you go with pseudocode. All right. Now, so let's get back to pseudocode. So our main focus would be over the pseudocode. We will cover flowcharts alongside the pseudocode, and whatever is left, we will cover it after the pseudocodes. So as I said that there are two types of pseudocodes, iterative and non-iterative. Why I had classified the pseudocodes over the iteration? Because iteration is the most difficult part, and as per my own understanding, I have realized that my students, when they appear exam and when they practice, they have the most difficulty in iterations. So rest of the non-iterative would have selection, maybe, and sequence always. So iteration would have sequence as well, but selection depends. We will see. I understand that it is hard for you to understand the whole thing now. Now, this simple count based and complex means nested count based. Count based are always made using for next loops. For next loops. So count based is always achieved through for next loop. What is count based? What if someone asks you to do sit-ups 100 times? So what you are doing? You are doing sit-ups 100 times. You are doing sit-up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are doing it again and again and again, and alongside it you are counting so that you could stop at 100. By the way, 100 squats are tough, isn't it? So when you are doing something and you are counting alongside it, why? Because you are told upfront before doing the job that you have to do this job 5 times, 10 times, 100 times. So this is count based. When you know before starting the program that how many times you would have to repeat it. Let's say there are 10 students in the class, and I am giving the task to find the average age of these 10 students. And now, as we know that what is the formula of average? Total divided by count. So I know the count. What I would have to do, I have to visit every one of these 10 students and ask them what is your age, so that I could make a total. I'll go ask first student, what is your age? He or she will tell me, bhai, meri age hai. I'll add it up. Then I'll move on to second student, bhai, aapki kya age hai? Whatever they say, I'll add it to the total. Then I'll move on to third student, bhai, aapki kya age hai? Jo bhi wo batayega, I'll add it to my total. And this thing I will repeat how many times? 10 times. एक बार मैं 10 बार ही कर लिया ना, फिर मेरे पास एक टोटल आ जाएगा, फिर मैं उसको काउंट से डिवाइड करके एवरेज कैलकुलेट कर लूंगा. This is simple for next. But what if they ask me that there are 10 students in every class and there are 7 classes, and I need to tell average class age 7 times now because there are 7 classes. So this is a count within count. This is a count within count. How? I will get into the first class. I'll ask all 10 students, find their total age, find average, output average, and I'll move on to second class. I'll go through all 10 students, find the total age, calculate average age, and I'll output it. Then I'll move on to third class, and then for all 10 students. So 10 students for every class. So I'll get into every class and go through 10 students, then second class, then 10 students, then third class, then 10 students, then fourth class, then 10 students. So this is count within count. First count is class, and then second count is student. Maybe you are given a task to read temperature every time 10 days, every time read temperature 10 times a day for 365 days. Read temperature 10 times a day for 365 days. So I will be keeping a log of 10 time temperatures every day for 365 days. So day 1, temperature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Day 2, temperature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Day 3, temperature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is count within count. But still, हमें पहले से पता है कि कितने दिन तक कौन सा काम करना है. तो सिंपल काउंट बेस में क्या होता है कि आपको एक ही नंबर मिलता है कि भाई ये 10 स्टूडेंट है, इनके साथ ये काम कर लो. ये 5 दिन है, आपको ये काम करना है 5 दिन तक. ठीक है, ये 10 गाड़ियां हैं, इनमें मालूम करो कितना कितना पेट्रोल इन्होंने खर्च किया. भाई ये 10 टीचर है, इनको जाके ये कार्ड्स देने. ये क्या हो गया? सिंपल हो गया, एक काउंट है, बस खत्म. लेकिन अगर आपसे बोला जाए भाई 10 दिन तक रोजाना 20 बार ये काम करके लाओ, तो ये होगा 10 दिन तक 20 बार. या 7 क्लासों में 10 बच्चे हैं, तो 7 क्लासों के अंदर जाओ और 10-10 बच्चों को, तो ये कहलाता है नेस्टेड, नेस्ट, काउंट विद इन काउंट. ओके, तो सिंपल फॉर नेक्स्ट है. अब इसी सिंपल फॉर नेक्स्ट से हमारे पास एरे बनता है. एरे में भी बाज लोगों को इट्स सॉर्ट ऑफ डेटा स्टोर इन कंप्यूटर्स मेमोरी. इसको हम पढ़ेंगे बाद में. सो वी विल डील विद एरेज with the help of simple for next. Then get to condition based. Condition based जो है वो या तो प्री कंडीशन होता है या पोस्ट कंडीशन होता है. प्री कंडीशन मतलब हम पहले कंडीशन चेक करते हैं, उसके बाद काम करते हैं. अगर कंडीशन फॉल्स होती है तो काम नहीं करते. कंडीशन ट्रू होती है तो काम करते हैं. काम करने के बाद फिर शुरू में आते हैं, देखते हैं क्या कंडीशन सही है, ट्रू है, फिर हम जाते हैं. जैसे कि मुझे बहुत भूख लगी है, मेरी अम्मी ने मुझसे पूछा बेटा खाना खाओगे? मैंने कहा जी खाऊंगा. उन्होंने मेरे सामने खाना ला के रख दिया, रोटियां रख दी, सालन रख दिया. मैंने एक रोटी खाई. फिर मैंने सोचा क्या मुझे मजीद भूख है. पहले मैंने सबसे पहले क्या सोचा होगा, क्या मुझे भूख है? वो तो भूख है. मैंने एक रोटी खाई. फिर मैंने सोचा कि क्या मुझे मजीद भूख है? फिर मैंने दूसरी रोटी खा ली. फिर मैंने सोचा क्या मुझे मजीद भूख है? मैंने तीसरी रोटी खा ली. फिर मैं शुरू में सोचा कि क्या मुझे मजीद भूख है? नहीं, मैंने खाना छोड़ दिया. तो मैंने पहले सोचा बाद में खाया, पहले सोचा बाद में खाया. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया प्री कंडीशन. ठीक है, अब मैं दोस्तों के साथ खाना खाने बाहर गया. दोस्तों ने मुझे बर्गर खिलाया. बोला कितने खाओगे? मैंने कहा यार ये छोड़, जब मैं खाऊंगा फिर देखूंगा. तो मैंने खा के फिर अपने आप को इवैल्यूएट किया, यार अब क्या मैं और बर्गर खा लूं? अब दोस्त का नुकसान कराना है तो पेट में जगह नहीं हुई है, तो मैंने कहा नहीं यार मैं खाऊंगा. तो पहले आप काम कर लें फिर सोचें, तो वो पोस्ट कंडीशन होता है. सो इफ यू आर इवैल्यूएटिंग अ कंडीशन बिफोर डूइंग अ टास्क, दैट इज प्री कंडीशन. जैसे कि मैं बोलूं जब तक तुम ये काम 10 बार नहीं कर लोगे तुम्हें छुट्टी नहीं दूंगा. तो ये हो गया काउंट बेस्ड. मैं आपसे बोलूं कि ये बस करते चले जाओ जब तक कि मैं मना ना करूं, बार बार करो ये काम. ठीक है, तो आप मेरी तरफ देखेंगे मासूम सी शक्ल बना के, अगर मैं बोलूंगा नहीं करो तो फिर आप क्या करेंगे कि आप उसको करेंगे. तो ये प्री कंडीशन है. और पोस्ट कंडीशन ये है कि आप काम कर लें और दरवाजे पे मैं एक आदमी खड़ा कर दूं, आप काम करने के बाद उसको चेक कराएं और बाहर चले जाएं, यानी कि काम होने के बाद चेक हो रहा है. सो वी विल सी, इसकी बहुत ज्यादा डेफिनेशंस हैं. जो प्री कंडीशन होता है वो हम करते हैं व्हाइल एंड एंड व्हाइल से. while and end while. So while and end while we used to have precondition loops or iterations, and post condition is repeat until. ओके, सो ये अब मैंने अपने लिए इन चीजों के कुछ नाम रखे हुए हैं। ठीक है, सिंपल फॉर नेक्स्ट को मैं कहता हूं फॉर्मेट 1। मैं क्या कहता हूं, सिंपल फॉर नेक्स्ट को फॉर्मेट 1, और वाइल एंड वाइल को मैं क्या कहता हूं, फॉर्मेट 2। रिपीट अंटिल को मैं कहता हूं फॉर्मेट 3, और कॉम्प्लेक्स और नेस्टेड को मैं कहता हूं फॉर्मेट 4। और हम इन फॉर्मेट्स को इसी ऑर्डर में पढ़ते रहेंगे। सबसे पहले हम फॉर्मेट 1 करेंगे, यानी कि सिंपल काउंट बेस्ड पढ़ेंगे। फिर हम फॉर्मेट 2 करेंगे, यानी कि हम प्री कंडीशन बेस्ड पढ़ेंगे, वाइल एंड एंड वाइल। अब फिर हम पोस्ट कंडीशन पढ़ेंगे, यानी कि रिपीट एंड अंटिल। अब फिर हम पढ़ेंगे कॉम्प्लेक्स, यानी कि दो फॉर, एक फॉर के अंदर दूसरा फॉर बेस्ड है। ठीक है, so computer language is not required. Only when we will discuss array, I'll tell you that array बनाने के लिए जो instruction होती है वो हम किसी लैंग्वेज में दे देते हैं। तो ये आपका पूरा P2 है, डेटाबेस और एल्गोरिथम्स। इसके बाद इसमें कुछ स्ट्रे टॉपिक्स भी हैं जिसको हम कह देते हैं अदर्स। अदर्स में कुछ डेफिनेशंस है, कुछ वैलिडेशन वगैरह है, वो फिर हम देखेंगे। बाकी बहुत ज़्यादा कोई इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक्स नहीं होते, लेकिन या इसको हम मिसलेनियस बोल लेते हैं, मिसलेनियस टॉपिक्स है, लेकिन ये थ्योरेटिकल है। मिसलेनियस टॉपिक्स हैं जो कि थ्योरेटिकल है। ठीक है, इनको फिर हम आखिर में देख लेंगे। डेटाबेस हम कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं, वैलिडेशन उसमें हमने छोड़ दी थी। कल एक दो वैलिडेशन के क्वेश्चंस आए थे तो मैंने आपसे कहा था कि वो हम बाद में करेंगे। अब आ गया एल्गोरिथम। आज से हम एल्गोरिथम शुरू कर रहे हैं, और हम एटलीस्ट 5 डेज के ड्यूरेशन में हम लोग ये एल्गोरिथम्स ख़त्म करेंगे। और उसके बाद अगर कुछ फ्लो चार्ट्स का पार्ट रह जाएगा तो वो हम एक आध दिन में वो ख़त्म कर लेंगे। देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू मिसलेनियस, 7 डेज में उसको ख़त्म करेंगे। और फिर हमारे पास जो है बाकी के जो 2 दिन बचेंगे उसमें हम लोग फिर PRM करेंगे। अफनान इलाही, व्हाट इज आइटरेशन? बेटे मैंने ना इस पे आधा घंटा लगाया है, और आप जो है वो आखिर में आके फिर वही सवाल कर रहे हैं। ठीक है, टाइम पे क्लास ज्वाइन करें और फिर सवाल करें। अब हम शुरू करते हैं फॉर्मेट 1। Format 1 is simple count based loops using for and next. ठीक है, simple count based loops using for and next. अच्छा, अब देखिए सबसे पहले अब हम टर्मिनोलॉजीज पे डिस्कस करेंगे। देखिए बेटा, जब हम प्रैक्टिकल जाएंगे ना तो हम थ्योरी डिस्कस कर चुके होंगे, ठीक है। हम पहले टर्मिनोलॉजीज पे डिस्कस करें। सबसे पहले एक टर्मिनोलॉजी है इनिशियलाइज। इनिशियलाइजेशन का क्या मतलब है? इनिशियलाइजेशन इज एन एक्ट of assigning first value to all of the variables that we are going to use in the program. एक प्रोग्राम में हम जितने भी वेरिएबल्स इस्तेमाल करेंगे उनको प्रोग्राम शुरू करने से पहले हम फर्स्ट वैल्यू असाइन कर देंगे। ज्यादातर वो फर्स्ट वैल्यू नंबर्स वाले वेरिएबल्स के लिए 0 होती है। All right, what is iteration? Sorry, initialization. Initialization means basically all of those variables which we are going to use in the program will be assigned their first value. Will be assigned their first value, and that is called initialization. Initialization is not necessarily but mostly. Initialization is not necessarily but mostly is 0 for all the numbers. Okay. So we will look into it separately. So all of those variables that we are going to use will be initialized at first. Then for count. For count is equal to 1 to n. इसका क्या मतलब है? ये स्टेटमेंट है जो कि स्टैंडर्ड स्टेटमेंट है। ये n जो है इट इज द नंबर जितने टाइम हमें काम करना है। सो ये क्या है? काउंट बेस्ड। जैसे मैंने आपको बोला कि 10 स्टूडेंट हैं, 10 स्टूडेंट के पास जाना, उनकी एज पूछनी ताकि हम टोटल कर सकें एज का। तो उसको n कहां से मिलेगा? हमें क्वेश्चन से मिलेगा। वी विल लुक इनटू इट। इसके बाद हम करेंगे इनपुट। कंप्यूटर में कंप्यूटर इज इक्वल टू इनपुट प्लस प्रोसेस plus output. And sometimes people say that a computer program is equal to, when it is executing, input plus process plus output. So if you are going to write a computer program and it does not have any input or output, then it is not a computer program. Okay, then it is not a computer program. Every program must have some sort of input. So first we will input. Now what we will input and how many values we will input, that depends over the question. When we will solve question, we will look into it. Then some of the questions have got a formula in it. If there is a formula, then we output formula calculation result. If there is a formula, not necessarily हमारे पास हमेशा formula होगा. Then if that question is requiring us to total something, then we do totaling. टोटलिंग कैसे करते हैं? हमारे पास एक वेरिएबल होता है टोटल, और उसकी हम प्रीवियस वैल्यू में कोई नई अननोन वैल्यू ऐड कर देते हैं जो हमने इनपुट करी है. एंड समटाइम्स वी डू काउंटिंग. And this is called counting with decision. Counting with decision. Let's call it C1. Counting with decision is C1. Now, please hold on. जी, काउंटिंग विद डिसीजन ये होती है कि वी काउंट व्हेन अ कंडीशन इज ट्रू, अदरवाइज वी डोंट काउंट। इसका बिल्कुल इस तरीके से सिलसिला होता है कि लेट्स से मुझे मेरी क्लास में कितने लड़के हैं कितनी लड़कियां हैं काउंट करना है। अब मैंने एक हाथ में काउंट करना है कितने लड़के हैं और एक हाथ में काउंट करना है कितनी लड़कियां हैं। सो इफ आई सी a boy, I'll count in this hand, two boys in this hand, then I see a girl, I will count in this hand, then two girls, then three boys, then four boys, then three girls, then five boys. That is how we count with decision. So we find something, if it is true, we count it. If it is not true, we don't count it. So this is how we count with decision. Okay. Now I had enough discussion for this format. Now let's move on to questions, and first let's practice to identify these questions. How do we identify if it is a question that belongs to simple for next, means account based for next, which is basically simple, means it has got a number in it that we have to follow for that number of times. Hold on for a minute. अब देखें ये पास पेपर के क्वेश्चंस हैं. I'll share these questions with you. अब इन पास पेपर के क्वेश्चंस में बहुत तरह के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, हम सब बारी बारी करते रहेंगे, लेकिन अभी हम शुरू करते हैं मई जून 2006 से. The first thing that we have to do is to find out that which question belongs to simple for next. So look at this question. It says that a formula for calculating the body mass index is this, calculate whatever. Look at the part B. Using pseudocode or otherwise, write an algorithm that will input ID, weight and height of 30 students. So this is a number given, 30 students. So this is a single number given. So this is simple for next. This is format 1. Move on to second question, question 20 from the same year. Temperatures are being collected in an experiment every hour over 200-hour period. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or otherwise which will input each temperature and output whatever. So this is 200. This is a number given. So this is format 1. Look at this question. May, June 2007. A company has 5,000 CDs, DVDs, videos, and books in stock. Each item has a 5-digit unique code with the first digit identifying whatever. Input the codes for all 5,000 items. So this is one number given in a question that we have to do something for 5,000 times. So this is called format 1. There is just one number given. Now look at this question. This question says that fuel economy for a car is found using this formula. Part B. The fuel economy for 1,000 cars is to be calculated. All right. So 1,000 cars. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or otherwise which input the distance traveled in kilometers and the fuel used for 1,000 cars. So this 1,000 is given in it. So this is actually format 1. So look at this question. Based on 1,000 items being made. Based on 1,000 items being made. So this is a format 1 question. Then we have a small airport handles 400 flights. So this is a format 1 question. This is write an algorithm using pseudocode or otherwise which inputs times for 500 cars. So this is format 1 question. Now look at this particular question. This is not a format 4 question, format 1 question. A group of students were monitoring the temperature every day over a 1-year period. Readings were taken 10 times. Readings were taken 10 times every day, and you may assume there are 365 days. So these are two numbers. A group of students were monitoring the temperature for every day over a 1-year period. Readings were taken 10 times every day. You may assume the year contains. So this is format 4. Nested count based loops. Nested count based loops. So it does not have one number, rather it has got two numbers. For 365 days, every day we have to read a temperature 10 times. Look at this question. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or flowchart which input 50 numbers and output how many of the numbers were greater than 100. So greater than 100 is a condition, not a number. This is format 1. Now it says input 1000 numbers. This is format 1. Input the height and weight of all 1000 students. So this is format 1. Now look at this particular question. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or flowchart बेटे लेट मी गो विद माय ओन पेस. मुझे पता है मुझे क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना. मैं आपको ऑब्वियसली क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करवाऊंगा. जरा सबर से अभी शुरू हुआ है. एकदम से हम सॉल्यूशंस में नहीं घुस सकते. हमें लर्न करना है. ठीक है. डोंट बी डेस्परेट. बी विद मी. आई विल बी फिनिशिंग इट प्रॉपर्ली. Now look at this particular question. It says that write an algorithm using pseudocode flowchart which input a set of positive numbers. Now they have not told us about how many numbers. This says that this is a set of positive numbers which end with -1. It means that आप नंबर एंटर करते रहेंगे. जब -1 एंटर होगा तो फिर आप अपना लूप खत्म करेंगे. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ हमें पता ही नहीं है कितनी बार नंबर एंटर होगा. ये भी हो सकता है कि कोई पहली बार में -1 डाल दे और ये भी हो सकता है कोई 5वीं बार में डाले और ये भी हो सकता है कोई 500वीं बार में डाले. तो वो जब भी डाले, जब -1 डालेगा उस वक्त तक हमें नंबर्स लेने. अब हमें यहाँ पर उन्होंने नंबर नहीं दिया बल्कि कंडीशन दे दी है. सो दिस इज नॉट फॉर्मेट 1. दिस इज a set of positive numbers which end with -1. So this is condition based. तो इसको हम फॉर्मेट 2 या फॉर्मेट 3 पहले चेक करके काम करेंगे तो फॉर्मेट 2, चेक काम करने के बाद चेक करेंगे तो फॉर्मेट 3. फिर आप ये क्वेश्चन देखें. इनपुट अ होल नंबर व्हिच इज ग्रेटर देन 0. तो इसमें तो एक ही अ होल नंबर है. तो अ होल नंबर का मतलब है कि ये किसी फॉर्मेट में नहीं आ रहा. काम ही हमें एक बार करना. ये वाला जो क्वेश्चन है इसमें भी ये सिंगल टाइम है. इसमें कोई लूप ही नहीं है. इसमें सिर्फ एक कंडीशंस होंगी और सीक्वेंस होगा. Daniel lives in Italy and travels to Mexico, India and New Zealand. The time differences are these. Thus, if it is 10:15 in Italy, it will be 45 past 14 in India. So write an algorithm that input the name of the country, input the time in Italy, calculate the time in country and output the country and the time. That's it. Do it once. So this is not any format. This is without format. Now look at this question. A school has 1800 students. So simply 1800 students. The start date and leaving date for each student is stored on a file. Input student ID for all 1800 students. So this is essentially format 1. So input 3 numbers, format 1. Input 1000 numbers. This is format 1. So get the idea. And if you would have noticed already, the weather condition in a town is being monitored over a year, 365 days. 365 days. The values are recorded per day, are weather type and temperature. So that's it. This is format 1 because it is being read for 365 days. Then we have got what? Input population and land area for 500 countries. So we would have to actually do something for 500 times. So that is how we learn that how to find out if a question belongs to format 1. There is just one number. And if you would have noticed that Probability of format 1 is higher than any other format. You have hardly seen one question related to format 2 or 3, one question related to format 4, nested for next. But most of the time, in fact 98% of the times, all the questions that appeared were belong to format 1. So let's solve a question. Let's solve this question. Fuel economy for a car is found using the formula fuel economy is equal to distance traveled in kilometer and fuel used in liters. Let me make it very clear. Because so if there is only one input, it will always be format 1. No, not one input, one number. Input may be several. Input may be several. One number, 1000 cars, 300 students, 500 countries. For every country, you would have to take input. That may be any number of inputs. So it is not one input, it is one number. Now pay attention to these questions. So let's solve it. Hold on, let me put everything on a screen. अब देखिए ये क्या कहता है fuel economy for a car is found using the formula fuel economy is equal to distance traveled and fuel used. What would be the fuel economy for the car traveling at 40 kilometers on 10 liters of fuel? Okay, so this is 40 divided by 10, that is what? 4. Now actual question is this, the fuel economy for 1000 cars. Now, first of all, let's solve question over here. So we have to do some initialization. अभी हमें पता ही नहीं है कि हमें कौन कौन से वेरिएबल्स इनिशियलाइज करने हैं, हम कौन कौन से वेरिएबल्स इस्तेमाल करेंगे. So just leave it. We will do initialization later. So initialization done. Then for count is equal to 1 to n. So for count is equal to 1 to n. What is n? 1000 cars. That is 1000 cars. So that is 1000. So we have to take this for count is equal to 1 to n, and we have to look where the n is in the question, and n is 1000. So this is for count is equal to 1 to 1000. Then input. We indent it, and then it says the fuel economy for 1000 car is calculated using the formula in question 16a over here. Write an algorithm using pseudocode otherwise which input the distance traveled. So first thing that you have to input is distance traveled. Now if you do remember from yesterday's lecture, मैंने आपको बताया था identifiers होते हैं. Identifiers होते हैं. Identifiers क्या होते हैं? Identifiers are those names given to any object, variable, constant, procedure, function, program, file. तो यहाँ पर आपके लिए जरूरी है कि आप आइडेंटिफायर्स को A, B, C, D ना बनाएं, बल्कि आइडेंटिफायर्स को रेलेवेंट बनाएं. तो अगर हमें डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल ये कहता है ना, which input the distance travel in kilometers. So आप डिस्टेंस लिखें या डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल लिखें, जो भी होगा, जो इनपुट होगी वो डिस्टेंस में होगी. एंड फ्यूल यूज्ड. तो हमने ये दो इनपुट्स ले ली. उसने क्या बोला? इनपुट the distance traveled and fuel use. Now remember one thing, this is absolutely necessary that we are not going to use any of the units. Kilometers, liters, meters, kg, pound, years. हम इन units को consider नहीं करते जब हम program बना रहे होते हैं. हम सिर्फ values को consider करते हैं. So हमने क्या क्या input ले लिया? Which input the distance traveled and fuel use. तो यहाँ पे देखें input थी, input के आगे हमें पता चला कि हमें distance और fuel use लेने हैं, और हमने एक proper identifier choose किया है, which is relevant. Relevant means that it is relevant to the purpose of it. अब हमारे पास आ गया formula calculation. तो formula तो आपके पास ऊपर है, तो हमने लिखा fuel economy. या इसको हम सिर्फ इकोनॉमी बोल लेते हैं. Fuel economy is equal to distance traveled. What is the name of variable? Distance slash fuel used. आपने जो भी वैल्यू इनपुट करी होगी, जो भी वैल्यू आपने इनपुट करी होगी डिस्टेंस में और फ्यूल में, उससे डिवाइड होकर इकोनॉमी कैलकुलेट हो जाएगी. The fuel economy of each car is then calculated, so we calculated it, and the following outputs are produced. Fuel economy for each car. So then output economy. All right. So हमने economy जो distance enter हुआ, let's say 40 enter हुआ, fuel enter हुआ, let's say 10. सॉरी डिस्टेंस जो है वो 40 एंटर हुआ, फ्यूल जो है वो 10 एंटर हुआ, तो 40 डिवाइड बाय 10 4 हो गया, और वो किसको साइन हो गया? इकोनॉमी को. अब स्क्रीन पे इकोनॉमी लिखा हुआ आ जाएगा 4. सो फॉर्मूला कैलकुलेशन भी हो गई, आउटपुट फॉर्मूला कैलकुलेशन रिजल्ट्स भी हो गए. अभी कहता है एवरेज फ्यूल इकोनॉमी फॉर ईच कार. सो फ्यूल इकोनॉमी इज कैलकुलेटेड एंड आउटपुटेड. देन इट सेज दैट एवरेज फ्यूल इकोनॉमी फॉर all of the cars. How many cars do we have? 1000. But if we need total, sorry, if we need average, we need total. So it means that we need to do totaling. So how do we actually total? Total is equal to total plus economy. I'll talk about totaling tomorrow. So now out of this particular group, only one thing is asked at a time in one question, not more than one of these. So if it is totaling, no one is going to ask you about counting with decision or output with decision. If it is totaling, total is related to average. Percentage is related to counting with decision. So we will do all those questions which are related to percentage later. So it means that out of this group, if anything is asked that is just one of these. So since they have asked for average over here, average fuel economy of all of the cars. So average means we need total, we have done totaling. Over here, it is total is equal to total plus economy. So whatever the economy of this car is calculated is added to a total. And this would go on for how many times? 1000 times. When it is done 1000 times, the total would have the fuel economy added up of all 1000 cars. Then it says the best fuel economy, which is the highest and the lowest fuel economy. The best fuel economy or the lowest fuel economy. So it means that now we have to deal with extreme values. Let me first explain how extreme values work and then we get back to this question. Ibrahim Zubairi, is capitalization not important? No. We just capitalize few of the words so that they stand out and they are easily to be read. Readability improve करने के लिए बेटा करते हैं. उसके अलावा हमारा जो है ना वो कैपिटलाइजेशन से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं होता. Capitalization is not necessary. But if you do it, like major words like just say for कर दो, आप input कर दो, output कर दो. ये जो मेजर वर्ड्स हैं, कमांड वर्ड्स हैं, इनको अगर आप कर देंगे तो ये अच्छी बात है, इससे ये स्टैंड आउट करेंगे. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट एक्सट्रीम वैल्यूज. होल्ड ऑन फॉर बिट. अब देखें इसने क्या बोला, हाईएस्ट और लोएस्ट. ठीक है, लेट्स से हमारे पास कुछ वैल्यूज आ रही हैं. लेट्स से वो वैल्यूज हैं एज आई 10, 9, 4, 15, 8 and 7. अब हम दो वेरिएबल्स क्रिएट करेंगे, हाईएस्ट और लोएस्ट. ठीक है, पे अटेंशन. हम हाईएस्ट को जो पहली वैल्यू असाइन करेंगे वो होगी -1000 और लोएस्ट को जो असाइन करेंगे वो हम करेंगे +1000. इसका क्या मतलब है, जो हाईएस्ट वैल्यू होगी उसको हम इनिशियलाइज करेंगे. दिस इज द फर्स्ट वैल्यू दैट वी आर असाइनिंग टू इट एंड व्हिच विल बी द लीस्ट, बिल्कुल बॉटम में जाके -1000. जो लोएस्ट होगी उसको हाईएस्ट वैल्यू असाइन कर देंगे. अब हम यहाँ पे एक फॉर्मूला लिखने जा रहे हैं. इफ एज इज ग्रेटर देन हाईएस्ट, ये कंडीशन, देन हाईएस्ट इज इक्वल टू एज. और यहां पे ये इफ खत्म हो जाता है, इसको कहते हैं एंड इफ. देखिए मैंने इंडेंट करके लिखा है. अब हम एक एक एज उठा के लिखते हैं और देखते हैं कि क्या बन रहा है। अब हमने एज ली 10, अब हम देखेंगे 10 इज ग्रेटर देन हाईएस्ट, हाईएस्ट हमने इनिशियलाइज किया था -1000 पे। So -1000 से एज ग्रेटर देन है, yes it is greater than, then highest is equal to age. All right, इसी तरीके से हम एक और कंडीशन लिख देंगे, if age is less than lowest, then lowest is equal to age. अब आप देखिए इसी एज को जो आपने इस वक्त पिक की हुई है, दैट इज 10, is 10 is less than lowest, lowest is at the moment 1000, yes it is less than lowest, so then lowest is equal to 10. Now highest is no more 1000, lowest is no more, highest is no more -1000, lowest is no more 1000, they have become what, 10, so they are no more. Take next value, which is now 9. Now compare again, if now this condition, if for highest, if age which is 9 is greater than highest which is 10, is 9 greater than 10? No, so this condition will not work, this is false. Then we will compare for the lowest, if age is less than lowest, if 9 is less than 10, yes it is, then lowest is equal to age, so this 10 is no more, now it has been taken up by 9. Now take the next value, pass it through first condition, if 4 is greater than 10, no, leave it, pass it through next condition, if 4 is less than 9, yes, 4 is age and 9 is lowest, then lowest is now 4. Next input, is 15 greater than 10? Yes, 15 is greater than 10. Update it. Highest is equal to now 15. Is 15 is less than 4? No, leave it. Then let's take 8. Is 8 greater than 15? No. Is 8 less than 4? No. Move on. Next input. Is 7 greater than 15? No. Is 7 is less than 4? No. So what happened that this value and this value changed highest and lowest, and this value has also changed highest and lowest, but this value has not brought any change to the system. So this formula is basically selection. This formula is what? Selection. So this is for, these two are for extreme values. So what are extreme values? Final extreme values are these. 15 is highest and 4 is lowest. So these are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. What if these are 600 values? Similarly, system will count which is the highest value, which is the lowest value. If we apply these formulas properly, then highest and lowest values can be found easily. So now, first, are we not supposed to take highest 0? Not now. We will discuss about it. I have left initialization for the end. We'll discuss about it. Now, extreme values. So, if economy is greater than highest, then highest is equal to economy. If economy is less than lowest, then lowest is equal to economy. And if now, so extreme values are covered, you understood extreme values. Now next count, we will write just next count. So this for next ends here, so this will happen 1000 times. Every time when loop works, system will take one car's distance and fuel, find the economy, output the economy, total that, put that economy into total, and then it checks if the economy is higher than the previous highest value. If it is, then it will update the highest, and then it will check if the economy which is just calculated is lower than the previous lowest, then it will update the previous lowest. Okay, now we move on, and we were asked for average. So it says that average fuel economy for all of the cars. So average comes at the end. So this format is basically the guideline. This format is basically what? The guideline. So we have taken the guideline from here, we read the question from there, and we solved it. So by the end of this short course, you will be able to do it by yourself without looking into these guidelines. The format 1, format 2, format 3, format 4 will become useless for you, because you will get used to with how it is solved. Now average is equal to total divided by n, and what is n? 1000. And then we were not asked for percentage, so we will leave it. And then what we will output? It says average. First we will output the average that we have just calculated. Then it says the best fuel economy, so highest. And then it says that lowest fuel economy. So this is the complete question. Now what part remains? Initialization. Now as we have completed the whole part from for until output, we will do this initialization. So initialization means giving all the variables initial values. Any value that is given is, when it is given at first, it is initial value. So that is initialization. So first let's identify what are the variables that we have. We have count, first variable, distance, fuel, economy, total, highest, lowest, average. So how many variables do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we will initialize all these. We will initialize count over 0, distance over 0, fuel over 0, economy over 0, total over 0, highest 1 minus 1000, and lowest 1000 plus 1000, and average 0. So mind it, all of the variables except extreme values holding variables will be initialized at 0, and those which are supposed to hold highest and lowest, they will actually be holding minus 1000 and 1000. Don't ask me why. Just do it, and towards the end of the syllabus, I'll explain why. Okay, so now we will initialize. count is equal to 0, distance is equal to 0, fuel is equal to 0, economy is equal to 0, total is equal to 0, highest is equal to minus 1000, lowest is equal to 1000, average is equal to 0. Now this is your complete solution for this question of 6 marks. We have to follow these formats so that we don't miss a single step. We look into everything, we do initialization at the end so that we have an idea that how many variables we are going to use. Once we have written that program, we would have an idea that how many variables are there, and then we will initialize them. We will initialize all of the variables to 0, but those which are basically going to hold the highest and lowest extreme values. Those which are going to hold extreme values, we will assign minus 1000 to highest and plus 1000 to lowest. All right. And then for count is equal to 1 to n. N will come out of the question. So this is 1000 cars. And then if there is a formula, we will use that formula. If there is no formula, we will skip these 2 lines. So since there was a formula was given that fuel economy is equal to distance traveled / fuel used. And I told you that we are not going to use any of the units, kilometers, liters, we are not going to use those. So input, distance and fuel. Now, all of the identifiers, the names that we are going to give to variables are relative, means they are meaningful, they are self-explanatory. तो वो हम variables के नाम रख देंगे, distance, fuel. फिर हम economy calculate करेंगे, economy is equal to distance / fuel. फिर हम economy output कर देंगे. फिर मैंने आपको ये बताया कि जब टोटलिंग होती है तो काउंटिंग और आउटपुट में डिसीजन नहीं होते. जब काउंटिंग विद आउटपुट में डिसीजन होते हैं तो टोटलिंग और आउटपुट में डिसीजन नहीं होती. अगर आउटपुट में डिसीजन होते हैं तो काउंटिंग और टोटलिंग नहीं होती. Either of these 3 happen in one question. हसन अली, जब हम हाईएस्ट और लोएस्ट को इनिशियलाइज करेंगे ना तो इन वैल्यूज पे करेंगे. दिस इज अ मस्ट. बाकी सबको 0 पे करेंगे, हाईएस्ट को minus 1000 पे करेंगे, लोएस्ट को plus 1000 पे करेंगे. दैट इज द रूल. I've never been able to understand pseudocodes, and now this seems so easy. Mashallah, mashallah, good. This is beta just the start, Femina. Once we get through all these questions and everything, it will become much easier for you, inshallah. Now, extreme values आप समझ गए. extreme values, अच्छा जरूरी नहीं है कि extreme values ये highest side और lower side दोनों की मांगे. कभी कभी ये सिर्फ highest मांग लेते हैं, कभी कभी सिर्फ ये lower मांग लेते हैं. अगर highest मांग ले तो हम सिर्फ इतना part लिख देंगे, कभी lower मांग ले तो सिर्फ इतना part लिख देंगे. ठीक है. And then next count. Next counts are the words which need to be there so that they mark the end of the count based loop, simple count based loop. So whatever is in between for and next will happen how many times? 1000 times. Once you get out of this loop, you would have a total of all the economies of 1000 cars. You then divide that total by n, and n is what? 1000. And then there is this output, average, highest and lowest. Love the fact how you are taking out time for. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I respect you people for studying by me as well. All right. You are being taught for the reason that there were so many queries about October and November, and there is COVID around, so it was hard to gather all of the students in one class. So I decided to go on with Zoom. And as far as the free or non-free is concerned, let's say teaching is my hobby. I love it. So for the sake of that love and the need for the students, I have combined both, and now we have got what? This short course, and hopefully, I hope that this short course course will actually help you to ace your exam, inshallah ta'ala. So that's about it. This was just the start, the introduction and everything. I'm going to send you these all questions along with the format and the class board today, in fact tonight, and we will go on further. So see, before we go any further, I want you to go and visit my GitHub. जितने भी हमने क्वेश्चंस यहाँ पर करने हैं उन सब का कोड जो है वो गिटहब में रखा हुआ है. देखिए मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि व्हाट इज गिटहब. आप जो है वो वेबसाइट विजिट करेंगे, zaconweb.com, और फिर वेबसाइट पे आप ये देखिए साइड में ये बार है, फेसबुक, यूट्यूब, ये गिटहब है. गिटहब एक क्लाउड है. इस क्लाउड के ऊपर आपको सारे कोड्स मिल जाएंगे जो हम अभी लिखने जा रहे हैं, फॉर्मेट्स मिल जाएंगे जो हम लिखने जा रहे हैं. ठीक है, देखिए इसको हम क्लिक करते हैं. गिटहब क्लाउड है सोर्स कोड का. लोग अपने प्रोग्राम के कोड, सोर्स कोड सारे यहाँ पे डंप करते हैं ताकि लोगों के साथ वो शेयर हो सके. इस तरह ड्राइव पे आप बाकी सारा मीडिया डंप कर सकते हैं. इसी तरीके से गिटहब में, GITHUB, गिटहब में आप सारा अपना सोर्स कोड, प्रोग्राम के कोड्स लोगों के साथ शेयर करने के लिए रखते हैं. सो हमारे पास यहाँ पे देखें 12 रेपोजिटरीज हैं. आप एक इस पे क्लिक करें, इसमें एक रेपोजिटरी होगी O लेवल कोड्स. ये देखिए ये O लेवल के कोड्स हैं. इसमें आप देखें यहाँ पे फॉर नेक्स्ट के फॉर्मेट 1 के कोड्स नजर आ रहे हैं आपको. ठीक है, आप इस पे क्लिक करेंगे तो इसमें सारे आपको कोड्स मिल जाएंगे. ठीक है, अभी जो हमने किया था फ्यूल इकोनॉमी वाला, उसको आप देख लें. यहाँ पे ये आ गया फ्यूल इकोनॉमी वाला. फ्यूल इकोनॉमी पे आप जब क्लिक करेंगे तो ये देखिए ये सारा कोड आ गया आपके पास. ये अभी हमने लिखा था, ये वही कोड है. इसको आप क्या करें, कॉपी कर लें. कॉपी करके अपने पास पेस्ट कर लें ताकि आप इसको प्रैक्टिस कर सकें. जब आप वापस जाएंगे तो फॉर्मेट 1 के अंदर जो अब हम बाकी कर रहे हैं, देखिए मैं सबको सारे पास पेपर क्वेश्चन कराऊंगा, ऑल ऑफ देम. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू लीव एनी सिंगल क्वेश्चन एवर came in past paper related to format 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if you want to revisit anything anytime soon, आप यहाँ पे आ सकते हैं. और उसके अलावा अगर आपको ये लेक्चर जो चल रहा है, अगर आपको ये सुनना है तो आप जो है वो फेसबुक पे, उस पे यूट्यूब पे चले जाइए. यूट्यूब पे ये लेक्चर जो है हमारा लाइव है. अभी तो यूट्यूब के ऊपर है. आप जब अभी मेरे से सवाल पूछ सकते हैं. जब आपको बाद में सुनना हो, ऑब्वियसली मैं तो उस वक्त लाइव नहीं होऊंगा, लेकिन देखिए यहाँ पे ये लाइव नाउ आ रहा है. आप इस पर क्लिक कर देंगे तो आपको ये दोबारा मिल जाएगा. अगर यहाँ पे नहीं मिलेगा तो आपको यहाँ पर मिल जाएगा द CS शो. पहले दिन का ये पड़ा हुआ है, दूसरे दिन का ये है, तीसरे दिन का आज इसकी लाइन में आ जाएगा. ठीक है बेटे. So that's about it. I see you tomorrow with more pseudocodes, better understanding. Meanwhile, if you could do something, आप अगर लाइव पूरा लेक्चर नहीं देखना चाहते दोबारा, तो आप YouTube के ऊपर नीचे O लेवल की तीसरी या चौथी प्लेलिस्ट है, उसमें आप चले जाइएगा. उसके अंदर आपको फॉर्मेट 1 के अलग से शॉर्ट वीडियोस मिल जाएंगे. ठीक है, बाकी रिसोर्सेज आपको गिटहब से भी मिल जाएंगी. मैं भी आपके साथ शेयर कर रहा हूँ टुनाइट. सो दैट्स अबाउट इट. सी यू टुमारो देन. टेक केयर.